Viral marketing campaign in the UK has caught the public's attention, with posters that read, "Your boyfriend cheated," popping up across various cities. These posters feature a QR code promising proof of infidelity. But don't worry, Temu says they've got it covered. They've got that PCI DSS compliance, a HackerOne bug bounty program, for when you just casually pay hackers to tell you how screwed you are, and some shiny MASA certification to boot. In other words, they're flexing their security credentials while telling you, no need to panic, just enable two-factor authentication, and don't click on those emails offering you a free yacht. Welcome to the Security Brief for Week 38. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and share this news. To our first story, the U.S. Department of the Treasury has imposed sanctions on 5 executives and a key entity linked to the Intellexa consortium. This network, known for its commercial spyware, including the controversial Predator spyware, has been involved in illicit surveillance activities worldwide. So basically, Intellexa is running a surveillance discount store for governments with trust issues. Do you want to spy on your ex or maybe take down a journalist or two? They've got an app for that. The U.S. government strongly condemns such actions and has now added key Intellexa figures to its sanctions list. These sanctions follow similar measures in 2023, where the U.S. Commerce Department placed Intellexa on its entity list, citing threats to national security. So now, their U.S. assets are frozen. And the best part? Any American companies thinking about doing business with these people? Nope, not unless they're keen on getting the government to curb stomp their entire operation. Moving on. Over 1,000 ServiceNow instances have been found leaking sensitive corporate information due to misconfiguration. The leaks, uncovered by security researchers at Apomni, involve misconfigured knowledge base articles on the ServiceNow platform which contained sensitive data like personally identifiable information, user credentials, and internal system details. So here we are with over 1,000 ServiceNow instances leaking everything from PII to internal system details, all because someone couldn't be bothered to figure out that KB00000001 isn't exactly the Fort Knox of password strategies. You see, researchers demonstrated that malicious actors could exploit these vulnerabilities by brute forcing article IDs, a technique made easier by predictable naming conventions like KB00000001. ServiceNow has responded by issuing guidance to its customers and taking proactive measures since September to help secure exposed instances. They recommend administrators adjust security settings, including disabling public-facing knowledge base access where unnecessary. Moving on, ransomware gangs are now exploiting Microsoft's Azure tools to steal sensitive data. Specifically, threat actors are using Azure Storage Explorer and the AsCopy command line tool to transfer stolen data to Microsoft's Azure Blob Storage. This shift is significant because Azure, a trusted enterprise-grade service, often avoids detection by corporate firewalls, making it a prime target for data exfiltration. Ransomware gangs are now leveling up their game by hijacking Microsoft's Azure tools to pull off their little heists. These ransomware operators, including Bianlian and Reseda, are increasingly relying on these methods to enhance the speed and efficiency of their attacks. The attacks involve complex steps like setting up dependencies and upgrading systems to ensure these tools work effectively. Once inside a network, ransomware actors steal data, often by brute forcing credentials or using phishing schemes, then use Azure's tools to move the stolen information. To combat this growing threat, cybersecurity experts recommend heightened vigilance, including monitoring network traffic to Azure endpoints and logging out of Azure Storage Explorer after each session to prevent malicious access. Moving on, a viral marketing campaign in the UK has caught the public's attention, with posters that read, "Your boyfriend cheated," popping up across various cities. These posters feature a QR code promising proof of infidelity. However, when scanned, the code leads to a promotional page for Prograd, a UK-based app designed to help young people find side hustles. The UK is really out here redefining trust issues, huh? This has to be one of the most aggressive ways to pitch side gigs to students. Forget the usual boring flyers. Nah, let's just emotionally terrorize people into clicking R. And sure, it's harmless according to Prograd, but security experts are waving their arms like, "Hello, scanning random QR codes could nuke your phone, you idiots." Prograd, ruining relationships and promoting side hustles all in one clickbaity package. What a time to be alive. On to our next news story. AT&T has agreed to a $13 million settlement with the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, after a significant data breach in January 2023 exposed sensitive customer data. The breach impacted roughly 9 million wireless accounts and involved customer proprietary network information, CPNI, including names, account numbers, phone numbers, and email addresses. The vendor responsible for managing this data failed to follow proper retention protocols, which led to the exposure. AT&T is now required to improve its data governance and strengthen vendor oversight to prevent future incidents. Moving on, Temu, the popular e-commerce platform, has strongly denied claims of a data breach involving 87 million customer records. A hacker, operating under the alias Smoke&Thashit, posted a sample of the alleged data, including names, addresses, and hash passwords on breach forums. But don't worry, Temu says they've got it covered. They've got that PCI DSS compliance, a HackerOne bug bounty program, for when you just casually pay hackers to tell you how screwed you are, and some shiny MASA certification to boot. In other words, they're flexing their security credentials while telling you, no need to panic, just enable two-factor authentication, and don't click on those emails offering you a free yacht. The plot thickens, though, when Smoke&Thashit, who, let's be honest, probably isn't the most credible figure based on the name alone, gets banned from breach forums for, wait for it, misrepresenting the data. Turns out, some of the stolen info dates back to a 2021 breach at some golf course management site, 4up.com. So not only did this dude fail at being a decent hacker, he's also recycling old data like he's running a half-baked garage sale for cyber criminals. Meanwhile, Temu's sitting back like, see? We told you it wasn't us, while probably still changing a few passwords just in case. Moving on, in a major joint operation dubbed Operation Carib, law enforcement agencies from 6 countries dismantled an international criminal network that used the iServer phishing-as-a-service platform to unlock stolen or lost mobile phones. The operation, initiated by Europol in 2022, led to the arrest of 17 individuals between September 10 and 17, 2024. The phishing network targeted over 1.2 million phones globally, with 483,000 victims identified. Authorities seized 921 items, including phones, electronic devices, and weapons, marking a significant victory in the fight against cybercrime. Moving on, Russian cybersecurity firm Dr.Web has disclosed a security breach following a cyber attack on September 14, 2024. In response, Dr.Web disconnected all servers from its network and halted virus database updates while investigating the intrusion. The company emphasized that no customers were impacted by the attack and that security measures, including the use of their internal tool, Dr.Web Fix-It, helped contain the threat. This breach follows a series of attacks on Russian cybersecurity firms in recent years. Moving on, a massive Chinese botnet known as Flax Typhoon has infected over 260,000 routers and IP cameras worldwide with malware. The botnet, active since 2020, targets home and office devices like modems and NAS systems. Discovered by Black Lotus Labs, it has been linked to state-sponsored hackers working on behalf of China. I guess your Wi-Fi router wasn't just buffering Netflix. It was out there moonlighting for the Chinese government. Who knew? The FBI and some researchers from Black Lotus Labs finally decided to step in and crash the party. And thank God, because the idea of my Wi-Fi modem secretly working for the Chinese government was really starting to get awkward. So now they're disrupting the botnet's operations, which probably means a lot of confused hackers on the other end, wondering why their giant network of glorified smart cameras has suddenly gone dark. At this point, I'm half expecting my smart fridge to start leaking state secrets. Maybe next time you can check on your devices. Moving on, Apple's recent macOS 15 Sequoia update has caused significant networking issues for users of certain VPN, antivirus, and endpoint security tools like CrowdStrike Falcon and ECT. Users are firing up their shiny new Sequoia update only to be greeted with the thrilling error message, "Network not found," because nothing says progress like your internet going on vacation the moment you try to secure it. The heroes of Reddit are already lighting up the forums like it's the tech apocalypse, with people discovering that their trusty VPNs and EDR tools, like CrowdStrike Falcon and ESET endpoint security, are now about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. The issue stems from changes Apple made to the operating system's firewall and networking structures, leading to connection problems, packet corruption, and SSL failures. Security companies have advised users to avoid upgrading until patches are available. Temporary solutions have been suggested, including changes to system settings, but permanent fixes are still being developed. Moving on, Disney, where magic comes to life, and apparently, so do massive data breaches. The Walt Disney Company is moving away from Slack after a significant data breach in July 2024. A hacker known as Nullbulge accessed 1.1 terabytes of sensitive data, including messages and files from nearly 10,000 Slack channels containing financial and project information. Now Disney's scrambling to find a replacement for Slack, probably trying to decide whether to trust Microsoft Teams or just develop their own Disney-branded messaging platform. Let's call it Mousemail, Because why not fully lean into the brand? Either way, they're hoping the next platform will be slightly less of a welcome mat for hackers. Slack's got a bad habit of getting hacked these days, with the likes of Uber and Activision also falling victim to breaches, leaving employees sitting there with a sad face emoji while hackers sift through their secrets. Disney has already started transitioning to new communication tools and expects to complete the migration by the end of the fiscal quarter. This incident follows another breach in June, marking an urgent need for improved security. To our last story, in a major operation, Europol, along with law enforcement from 9 countries, has successfully dismantled the encrypted communications platform Ghost, used by organized crime groups for drug trafficking and money laundering. These criminal masterminds were paying $2,350 every 6 months for a janky modified smartphone and tech support. Yeah, you heard that right. Even drug lords need to call IT when they forget their password. Yeah, can you reset my phone? I was just laundering some money and now I can't get my encrypted selfies to send. And let's not forget the global reseller network pushing this app like it's the iPhone 15 for crooks. It's like a pyramid scheme for criminals. For just a couple grand, you too can have a phone the cops can't crack. Except, spoiler alert, they cracked it. Big time. So after a cozy little investigation that spanned continents, law enforcement didn't just take down the servers chilling in France and Iceland, they also busted into drug labs, grabbed some guns, snatched illegal substances, and walked away with over €1 million in cash. Talk about the ultimate raid package: phones, drugs, guns, and cash. Who needs GTA when you've got real life? This marks a major victory in the fight against organized crime. That's it for this week's news. Which story did you find most interesting, or any story that you wish was included? Make sure you comment under. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you soon.